Hey guys, I'm finally back. Now I haven't been out filming at all this year. This is my first day out since I had that battle with the COVID there. So right now I'm on, what the hell am I on? 68th Avenue. And I'm going to be heading down to an old ballpark today. But I figured I'd film the journey because right here to the right, these are called Stier houses. And they were all developed by a builder by the name of Paul Stier back in the early 1900s. Now, as you can see, they're a very distinct building. And what I read was that each of these houses were on 2 floors and they had 11 rooms. Now, I find that a little hard to believe that they had 11 rooms. Yeah, it seems like a lot of rooms just for a house there. Of course, now they'll be converted all into apartments. But back in the 1900s, the early 1900s, Paul Stier built hundreds, if not thousands of these in the Ridgewood section of Queens. There's actually a place called Stier Place, which I'm probably not too far from right now, actually. Now, in 1916, Paul Stier became the Sheriff of Queens. Actually, I think it was 1915 he became Sheriff. And at the age of 46, in 1916, he was shot and killed while on duty as sheriff. So I have no idea how many of these houses he would have built eventually. Now, a funny part, you'll enjoy this story. I just filmed a mafia location for a different story. And it's where 2 mafia guys were killed. So what I had to do was just like hang outside the restaurant for 5 or 6 minutes. Well, as I was hanging outside the restaurant, a whole bunch of heavy-looking guys came out and wanted to know what I was doing. And it's a bit hard to tell these big burly guys that I'm filming a story on the mafia. So I have a feeling that I've got 5 minutes of wasted footage there. Now, they did stop me and ask me what I was doing. But I just said I was filming stories in Ridgewood. Didn't particularly say what. Because if I have a feeling if they are mob-related guys, if I'd have said I was doing a film on the murders of 2 mafia guys, probably wouldn't have been the wisest thing I've ever done. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm going to be honest with you, I'm probably not going to be able to use that footage. Now, what I am going to do is eventually I'm going to do a story on Paul Stier. Because like I said, his mark is on Ridgewood. In fact, I believe it's called Stierville. Or at least back in the 1900s it was called Stierville. Because as you can see, his mark, his buildings, which are quite distinctive. In fact, that might be, I'm going to take a walk up here, that might be where he used to work. Now, he lived on the other side of the railway tracks, up on Gates Avenue. But his place of business was on Putnam, and that's not Putnam. Darn it. Alright, so I made a mistake. But anyway, he had a place of business which became the Democratic Club of New York, or of Ridgewood maybe. And at the time, I don't think it was the Democratic Club when he used it as his offices. But when he was murdered in 1916, it became the Democratic Club took over his building. So that was all the way back in 1916, and the Democratic Club is still there to this day, still being used. Now, Paul Stier ran for sheriff as a Democrat, so it all makes sense. But like I said, I don't want to ruin the whole story because it's going to make for a really big story itself. But all of these houses you see on both sides of the road here, they're all called Stier houses. Now they're all over Ridgewood in what the boundaries were at the time, but now some of those boundaries are in Bushwick, Glendale, so even though the houses were built for Ridgewood, they're not all in Ridgewood anymore. Gosh, my mind is still racing about the what I believe were mafia guys that I just ran into there. If you'd have seen one of them, two of them came out and one of them stood there. Big old burly guy, put his arms folded across his chest and just walked to the edge of the road. And the other guy went to a car and he actually stopped me and asked me what I was doing. But like I said, in all honesty, unless I go back and see them and tell them what I was doing, I might not be able to use that footage. Because like I said, it's a double-edged sword. They might just be new store owners who aren't related to the mafia. But then they could also be current Bonanno mafia guys, and if I went and asked them and told them what I was doing, probably wouldn't be the wisest choice I've ever made in my life. So I've actually came here to tell a story today on an old baseball park, or baseball stadium, that used to be at the end of this road here. And what am I at? I'm at almost 10 minutes. And you can probably see the end of the road here anyway, so I've only got a couple of minutes left on this one. And then I can start the really exciting story about Farmers Oval, the old baseball stadium that stood here from 1907 to 1945.